Meantime, on Capitol Hill, Senate Democrats will not be able to include immigration reform in their $3.5 trillion spending bill. The Senate parliamentarian ruled that last night, saying that the measure can't be included in the legislation, which Democrats hope to pass through the budget reconciliation process. Lawmakers return to Capitol Hill today, and they're expected to vote on the spending package in the coming weeks. So Nikole Killion joins me now to talk more about this and sort of explain, first of all, what is a Senate parliamentarian and why did she make the decision not to include immigration in the $3.5 trillion package? What exactly does this mean for immigration and how the Biden administration is expected to regroup?
Well, good morning, Laura. Look, in terms of reconciliation, it strictly has to involve issues around taxing and the budget. And so in terms of immigration, the question is, well, how is that applicable? And so Senate Democrats put forth their arguments in terms of why they felt adding some of these immigration provision measures fit within those parameters. But ultimately, the Senate parliamentarian who decides whether or not, the rules apply, ruled against this, saying that, in essence, these immigration provisions were outside of the scope of a budget provision. So therefore, Senate Democrats cannot include it in this package. And some may argue that it might have been a reach to begin with, but certainly many immigration advocates have been hopeful that this could be folded in because, as you know, certainly Congress has had a tough time trying to get any type of comprehensive immigration reform legislation through both chambers. So this was seen as a possible way to try to advance some portions of that agenda. That being said, it is a blow, particularly to Democrats who had been hopeful, again, that this particular component could be included. And again, this is a test that the parliamentarian is going to have to run on the broader $3.5 trillion bill, once it is fully complete. As lawmakers are still fleshing out the legislative language. So this probably won't be the last time that we hear from the parliamentarian on this particular package.
Nikole, Secretary of Treasury Janet Yellen recently wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal, and she urged Congress to raise the federal debt ceiling. What was her reasoning, and where do both Democrats and Republicans stand on that issue?
Well, look, where they stand is that they're far apart on the issue, and therein lies the problem. That's why you see the secretary putting forth this op-ed. She has written letters to Congress. Just last week, she held a call with Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who pretty much has laid down a marker saying that Senate Republicans are going to remain opposed to raising the debt limit so long as Democrats move forward with that $3.5 trillion package. Their view is that, look, if you're going to spend all this money, why would we help you, up the limit on the credit card? So that's where the argument lies between Democrats and Republicans. Right now it's kind of a game of hardball because we think it's possible that Democrats may try to include this debt limit language in a continuing resolution, which is the bill to prevent a government shutdown. Let's not forget the government could run out of money by the end of this month if Congress doesn't approve a temporary spending measure. That's more or less what we're waiting to see today, because we do expect that language to be put forth with respect to this, government spending bill. And we're looking to see whether or not that debt limit language is included in it, or whether Democrats decide to make it some type of standalone provision. There had also been talk potentially of trying to include it in the reconciliation package as well, which again would just require Democrat support. But as Speaker Pelosi noted in a letter to her colleagues last night, she believes that this should be a bipartisan vote.
Yeah, I think that Democrats are trying to make this reconciliation package sort of like a catch-all for everything that they want to do. But it's going to be difficult to do that, including what Axios just reported, that Senator Manchin wants to delay the $3.5 trillion package until 2022. So what could be his reasoning, Nikole, and how does this revelation affect Democrats voting on the Hill?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure it's a huge revelation here. I mean, look, for the last couple of weeks now, Senator Manchin has made clear that he wants a strategic pause, in his words, on this reconciliation package. He has for some time now, expressed a lot of concerns about the price tag. He definitely is not at 3.5. He would like to see something more in the ballpark of $1 trillion or maybe 1.5. But as we know from Face the Nation, Bernie Sanders speaking with our Margaret Brennan, that's just not going to fly. The progressives like Senator Sanders, who is authoring a big component of this bill, really feels that, look, as progressive, we've compromised all the way down from $6 trillion. So 3.5 is pretty good. But, you have folks like Senator Manchin, Senator Sinema, who feel, they want broader justification as to why this level of spending is warranted, even if they support some components of Democrats' agenda. So, Democrats do have a lot of work to do within their own tent to try to get both sides of their party on board with this bill. And, there has been some acknowledgement that the timetable could potentially slide. Ideally, Democrats were hoping to wrap this all up perhaps as early as this month. But again, given the challenges with the government funding and the debt limit, on top of, trying to get this massive package through Congress, it is possible that this will continue on through the fall.
Lots of negotiation ahead with Congress back in session today. Nikole, thank you.
You bet.